Thank you so much for staying tuned. For just joining us, this is TMI. Will demonstrate into the discussion for today. Well, the first discussion segment, we're taking a look at what is happening in the oil and gas industry. Yes, Aliko Dangote petitioned Farouk due to one or two allegations. People are thinking that was just mere allegations. All of a sudden, there was a cashback, or let's say a blowback, so to speak, at the presidency through the special advisor on information. Yes, Gbenga said both men indicted, they've resigned. Now, just like asking, is it that the corruption in the oil and gas industry got into a certain stage whereby the blind can see it, even the deaf can hear? What should be done about it? Do you feel that resignation is just the beginning? Something more drastic should be done to these men? Lots and lots of questions. When we talk about party affiliation, remember, Ngige has been detained right now because of the same misappropriation of XYZ funds. How come these men resign? Nobody said anything about it. All this and more we'll take a look at under this topic on Unearthing the Wrath in the oil and gas industry, the suspension of Farouk and Komolafe. How will it affect us as Nigerians? With me here in the studio, standing from my extreme left, I have a political analyst, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Honorable Derek Ohunwago. Derek, it's a pleasure for you to join us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Good morning to you.
So very close to him, our political gladiator. Join me to welcome Festus Ekinoyamedo. Yeah, it's a sentence, you know. Welcome, Festus.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning.
And of course, the PRO of Oedo local government, they call it the voice of the masses. Join me to welcome Comrade Okoro Osaho Obaraye.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, viewers at home. It's a pleasure to be here.
And join us
of the season 2.
All right. Yes, Christmas really.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, Christmas really. And join us virtually. Yeah, is a one-time local government boss. Yes, he got local government. A political analyst, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Honorable Ehi Igariba. Honorable, good morning and compliments of the season.
Good morning, Wilson. Thanks for having me. Happy Yuletide season.
All right, thank you so much. Now let's start off this discussion unearthing the wrath in the oil and gas industry, resignation of Farouk and Komolafe. People have been talking about this, saying it took an Aliko Dangote to shine, or let's say point at the wrath in the oil and gas industry. Now, just been complaining about this. You get your XYZ billions unaccounted for. Nobody said anything about it until Aliko Dangote stepped into the particular situation, and all hell in quote right now was let loose. Before we dive into the resignation, what do you feel about this concept of corruption eating deep into the fabric of the upstream, midstream, and downstream sector? Let me start off from Ohunwago Derek. What's your take on all this?
Actually, the issue was previously raised by a civil society group last year, concerning how he's spending much more than he earns for the education of his children. Yes, like you said, he took an Aliko Dangote for all hell to break loose. Because the petition was submitted on the 14th, by 16th, he had resigned. It took like 48 hours for him to resign. Between 48 and 76 hours, he had already resigned. Then on the 19th, 5 days later, the new regulatory bosses have been sworn in by the Senate. So the speed, I would say, was unprecedented with regards to Nigerians and Nigeria doing the right thing, when accusation of corruption hits a very influential individual. And we are talking of the upstream sector. You will recall that Farouk Ahmed had come on air to falsely accuse the Dangote refinery of producing substandard, gasoline, PMS, and what have you. He accused Dangote refinery of producing diesel. That is, diesel was between 650 to 1,200 ppm, which is the unit for measuring, content of sulfur in the diesel or gasoline. And luck ran out of him, because within 48 hours of making such accusation, the House of Representatives engaged a private laboratory facility to go and confirm this accusation during their oversight function. And upon reaching Dangote refinery, they tested a sample of the Dangote diesel and discovered it was just 87.7 ppm, quantity of sulfur, as against what Farouk said between 650 and 1,200. So you can imagine that. Then he also stated, that is, Ahmed Farouk also stated that the foreign diesel was much more better than that of the Dangote refinery. When they tested three different samples of foreign diesel that was imported into Nigeria. The first one they confirmed that it was 1,800 ppm, that is the unit of sulfur content in it. Meanwhile, what our regulation states that is fit for Nigerian consumption is around 100 ppm. When they tested the second one, it was 2,000 ppm. When they tested the third one, it was 2,100 ppm. You understand me? So Ahmed Farouk did not just only accuse the Dangote refinery falsely, he also inverted the situation in favor of the foreign importers of petroleum products. What does that tell you? That tells you that he has vested interest in ensuring that the Dangote refinery does not work, which is the Nigerian factor. I don't know how and why regulators will kick against local content. And you and I know that local content today, if you ask me, is the last chance for industrialization for Nigeria. If we do not protect our own, forget if people are saying the man is a monopolist, but somebody has seen an opportunity for job creation, for saving our naira. Do you know that Nigeria spent $80 billion to import petrol for a period of, I think, 3 years? $18 billion. Whereas we could have localized this production and strengthened our naira. Being a smart businessman, saw the opportunity. It's not as if it's very patriotic, but he saw an opportunity that will also be beneficial to the Nigerian economy, both the micro economy of the Nigerian economic landscape, and invested in it. What would have expected the regulators and government to do is to support it. This is what is attainable everywhere all around the world. You must support local production so that your naira, our naira, will continue to strengthen against the dollar. And you will see that whether we like it or not, this Dangote refinery, because it's been churning out products in gasoline, PMS, and what have you, the naira for a very long time now have been quite stable. Quite stable. So I think it was high time, for example, to be shown with the likes of Ahmed Farouk. Right. And I'm glad that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, took up the initiative, because after the President invited him to Asuro, they said they resigned. So I'm glad that Nigeria got it right this time around.
I'll come back to you, Derek. Well, first, as you heard him openly remark talking about the fight, so to speak, between Farouk trying to undermine the Dangote refinery, given false allegation that was later proven to be real false because of the tests conducted by various industries to ascertain the credibility of Dangote product. Now, talking about the rot, is it a personal vendetta against Dangote himself, or against the industry, or the cabals were the one that really pushed Farouk to do what he did to Dangote, making claims that his products are substandard and that foreign imported, or let's say foreign fuel, petrol, they are far better than Aliko Dangote's?
You see, we are in a country where a lot of persons don't want Nigeria to work. So when I see Dangote fighting these people, I'm happy, because you and I can't fight them. When you check all over the world, after the government power, all over the world, the other place you have power is the oil power. Inside the oil, you have expertise power and political power. And it is the political power that control every other aspect. I once told you on this here that one man make nothing less than, there are men that make above $10,000 from oil per day. There are those that make $100,000 from oil per day. And just imagine Farouk paying about 50 million US dollar just for school fees. 5 million. Sorry, 5 million. So you understand that our assertion was right, that these people actually make enough money. The issue is this: if it were to be an ordinary man that petitioned Farouk, maybe the matter would still be slugging. But you see a businessman like Dangote coming up to speak. Don't forget, Dangote is not the man that loves to talk on air. If you observe Dangote as a person, he's not camera friendly. He loves to do his things, if possibly in the covert mix, but the news will need to come out for everybody to see. The issue is this: they don't want a refinery to work, because if a refinery work, they will not be making the money they are making. But Dangote came up and said, okay, I want to invest on it. There was a time Dangote said, I regretted investing in this place because problems were coming from different sides. I am happy we are just seeing the fight. The fight is going to be long, though. By the special grace of God, next year, Rabiu refinery may also come up. So there's going to be another fight. Don't talking about monopoly. We don't need. We are not. This is not a monopoly fight, because we have refineries that are not working. Today they'll tell us it's working, tomorrow it's not working. Today is working, tomorrow is not working. So nobody is not coming to monopolize the oil sector. No. If you want to import, import. I guess yesterday, Ipman came up and said, our members now can go and buy oil from Dangote, and they're going to invest in refinery. It is power past power.
Like a power play.
Yes. The political power within the reach of Dangote and the money he has have settled a lot of things for him. An ordinary man cannot just come up and invest in it and be flying like this. We are expecting more. More revelation will be coming. Because this is a country that people have decided to say the oil sector is for us. We do it the way we want. How will a man come up and start giving false claim? Your own refinery here. You are telling people that whatever that is coming back from there is not up to standard. That's the man that don't want this country to move forward. I'm surprised that the EFCC by now have not invited him. If they are doing investigation, they should be fast.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that aspect. Welcome to the chorus of now. What do you feel about this development?
On which side?
We're talking about the Farouk, the Dangote, and of course what led to the resignation of Farouk and Komolafe. When you did dive deep into the particular situation, some are saying the rot in the upstream, downstream, midstream sector in the oil and gas industry has it been so deep that Farouk and Komolafe, they are just one of 1,000 or 100 in this particular case.
Yeah, I think the second Farouk now on this oil sector. We had the first Farouk. Yeah, on this same oil money, and he spent some time, and he's a free man again. And we have another Farouk also coming up again to sabotage the entire system. It goes to tell you about power play. We're lucky this time that two giants fought, and the ground didn't suffer. The man called Farouk, known not to enemy of the Nigeria state. Why did I call him enemy of the Nigeria state is that Dangote might not be on the good books of everybody, but to some of us is on our good books. Reason is simple. We have a man who, after the government of Nigeria, is the second highest employer of labor. Apart from Nigeria government, there's no other. Dangote staff are more than 30 states. Let's say if we have each state in Nigeria, none apart from Lagos or Abuja has the staff strength of Dangote refinery. Because even before now, we had a man who bought 40 trucks. Is it 40 or 4,000 trucks? 4,000 trucks. That 4,000 trucks is going to take 4,000 staff, and he bought to them. That's about 8,000 people. 8,000. So if he once had, some local government don't have 1,000 staff. So we have an individual having 8,000 staff. We are using this 8,000 because this is the one we know. We are not talking about the sugar. We are not talking about the cement. We are talking about the truck he just bought. So it goes to tell you that if we have somebody already boasting of 8,000, without exaggeration, this is a man that has neatly above 200,000 staffs on his payroll. So it's not somebody Nigeria should joke with at all. That is already, it's a government of its own. It can decide if he was in already local government, if this is business was in already local government, it's already a force to reckon with politically, because wherever that 8,000 people are voting is going to show anywhere they go to vote. So for the Farouk to have told the team also goes to tell you that Farouk was a very greedy person, because if he had also followed Dangote and say, okay, this is how you should go and support, Dangote would have employed more strength of people. Dangote would not have had problems with the staff, people telling the staff to become a member of union. So Farouk tried to demystify him in all angles, but because God is not man and man is not God, before Farouk planned there, Dangote was on the other place. And it also goes to tell you that it depends on who speaks. Last year before now, people petitioned Farouk on this same issue. The petition did not fly. But when Dangote now shouted, because we also have a listening president who also didn't believe in, let's see what is happening, God saved us, Farouk quickly resigned. But I think the president has not done well, because what I expected was that the day Farouk got to also work to see him, he was not supposed to leave because of the gray areas. He was supposed to ask him some salient questions. They would have no way, because why will you leave when Muslim Master who works in a private station called ITV, the children attends a school where he pays about ₦1 million annually? So it's good you ask. Muslim Master, your salary is so. How come a child, just one, you see, you spend $1 million, which is virtually a year's salary of yours, and not just one, about 2 or 3. So if the president does not ask, who is supposed to ask? Is it me? So the president didn't do that well. And it goes to also tell you about tribalism. What Farouk has done, I'm not sure if he did 1/4. I'm not sure. I get it now. That we are seeing him coming to UFCC today, going tomorrow, DSS next tomorrow, the other one tomorrow. Farouk should not just be left alone, because who also tell you that the person that has been sworn in now will not also grow wings again tomorrow to start wishing people that is trying to make Nigeria a better place? Because the reason is not far-fetched. If my son Osaini stays this table and I spank him openly in everybody's presence, tomorrow, if your child comes with you and see me spanking my son staying this table, your son will not want to be at that table. The reason is because he knows that if the child of this man who owns this table does this thing and this is the reaction of this man, what about me who is not a relative of this child? So the president would have also done something very, very salient of our situation, because this oil sector has been one avenue where people right from 1960, not yesterday, has been siphoning Nigeria's common, what God gave us to feed with. Certain case of example, we have people who never know what concerns oil, that were giving oil wells, and that today they are richer than some states, boasting and doing what. Do you know what oil wells are not supposed to be for individual in a sane society? But in Nigeria, it's being given to people either through relationship, because it's my side chick or my in-law. They just give you what will benefit generations yet unborn to an individual. And by the time the individual gets it, you start hearing Forbes, the person buying private jet, going to Banana, living on Nigeria's issue. Go and check. He's never worked anywhere before, just because the government, being political or military, gave he or she an oil well. The person is no longer answerable to anybody. Okay. So Nigeria government should again sit down, use Farouk as a case study to say never again will anybody come and disturb this oil issue. Because if Tinubu tries his best, forget about this refinery issue. We should stop lying to Nigeria. Nigeria should sell off our refinery. The reason is because if Dangote has been able to do this now, to say my phone is selling for this, if about 8 to 10 persons enter this business tomorrow, we see you are going to sit here, they will come and give you fuel, I'll give you a bag of rice for Christmas for you to just buy the fuel.
Well, all right, I'll come back to you, Korisabo. Now let's get to hear from Honorable Ehi. Now, what do you feel about all this? The wrath in the oil and gas industry, both the upstream, midstream, and of course downstream sector.
Thank you very much for having me. This has been one of Nigeria's biggest problems. As a matter of fact, you want to call it it's like a Dutch disease, where you have excess of resources, but the people suffer so much due to misappropriation, embezzlement, corruption, and for the most part, nepotism. What do I mean by nepotism? I will even just draw from what my brother Osamu Awarayi just said lastly. If you look at the indiscretion that took place during the allocation of oil wells, the slap on the faces of the people of the Niger Delta who suffer immense environmental degradation. And they look at the percentage of those on the Niger Delta that own oil well. It's laughable, it's pitiable, and very sad that people from Maiduguri State, from the core north, let me not even say specifically state any state, but people from the northern part of the country own at least 80% of the oil blocks, and many of them maybe have never been to the Niger Delta. They cannot identify or even recognize the struggles of the people of the Niger Delta. They don't know the pains they are going through. They don't know that their environment are being destroyed. Their means of livelihood are being destroyed. And what God gave to them as a blessing has now become a curse. What do people in the Niger Delta get? Maybe heading a committee on pipeline protection. Just protect the pipeline for us to siphon your natural resources away. That is what we get. The issue of Farouk has been long coming. I just want to appreciate President Tinubu and the National Assembly for being very proactive, for moving very speedily, and more importantly, I want to appreciate the nationalistic stand of Aliko Dangote, because he could have said, let's settle this in-house, being that this man is a Muslim northerner, just like I am. Of course, if a man can spend $5 million to educate just 4 kids in a foreign tertiary institution, that tells you he's in the upper echelon of elites in this country, and therefore he will have access to people very well positioned. So he could have he could have, said, let's just deal with this behind the scene. But he decided to address a press conference. Like, it's not often that Dangote addresses a press conference. And because of who Dangote is, the richest man in Africa, when he speaks, the whole world listens because it has impact on Nigeria's economy, on our diplomacy, and a whole lot of issues. Then you have, okay, I've been to like the real conspirators are only using people like Farouk as a chess, sorry, a pawn in the chess board. What do I mean? If you go to a country like Belgium, for instance, somewhere outside of Antwerp, they have one of the largest refineries in the world. That refinery, they are refining what crude oil. But do they have crude oil? No. So most of the crude oil, all of this crude oil that are making their way out of the country illegally, end up in all of this massive.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is TMI. We're taking a look at this particular topic on earthing the vault in the oil and gas industry. Now, Derek, let me come to you. Some are saying the way and manner these two men tell the resignation, there is more to it. That maybe, just maybe, someone's trying to cover up. That nobody wants Nigerians to know the amount involved, how deep the rot has eaten into the oil and gas industry. They have the opinion that they're trying to cover up for these guys because nobody wants to give account of stewardship of what transpired in the tenure of Farouk and Komolafe. What's your own take on this assertion?
Of course, there's more to it. So of course, always there's more to it. You recall that sometime last year, the 15% tariff on import of refined products, petroleum products, was introduced. It was this Farouk Ahmed that thwarted it when the federal government, tried to introduce it. Then recently, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria also, gave an order that from a certain time, 15% to be charged for, imported oil products. And before you know it, we started having issues with President Trump. Or some people are saying it connects to how the international community suddenly started looking into the decade-long genocidal effect of the Fulani herdsmen and Islamic jihadists. It's, allegedly do. But what am I trying to say? The president was trying to protect the local production of refined petroleum, products. But some folks will not have it. So just like earlier stated by Honorable Igariwa, that Farouk is likely a pawn in this chess game of the
cabal,
downstream, midstream and downstream sector. Meanwhile, by saying midstream, we mean the process of transporting the already extracted crude oil, the process of transporting it and refining it. That's the midstream, the entire value chain. Then the downstream sector is the process of marketing and consumption of that product. So it was as if, like I said, Farouk is a pawn in the game of this international cabal that affects the welfare of the Nigerian people, in the sense that there has been a lot of theft in the downstream sector. There have been a lot of sabotage in our refineries. We call that Nigeria 4 refineries that are non-functional. As of today, they have zero output. And meanwhile, over $18 billion have been spent with an attempt to resuscitating it. And if you look at that amount that has been spent for a period spanning over 2 decades, you will find that the real value of that $18 billion is more than $100 billion, which could have, helped to set up to 5 refineries of Dangote refinery standard. So what am I, trying to say? Farouk being a pawn in this chess game of international sabotage of our Nigeria downstream, upstream, and midstream sector had a semblance of what they call immunity. He felt he was untouchable, so that gave him some form of laxity to operate freely, to behave as if he's untouchable, to the extent he challenges the president's decision to slap 15% tariff on imported oil products. So it was, becoming very unbearable. You will also recall that the National Assembly uncovered over $300 billion of missing, monies, accruable from our downstream sector. By downstream sector, we mean the process of extracting crude oil from the soil. Nigeria lost a lot of money from that process. And because of this bunkering vandalism of our crude oil facility, Nigeria has never been able to meet up to its OPEC quota. Even though OPEC gave us about 2.1 million
barrels per day,
for us to sell to the international market. We only managed to get up to 1.7 million barrels per day of production, against what we projected 2.1 million barrels for our, current budget. So some of this sabotage is accruable to the high-handedness of the regulators, and these regulators, that of the Farouk and the other individual regulating the upstream and the other one regulating the midstream and downstream sector, have not been able to protect the interest of Nigeria as a nation and Nigerians as consumers of this product. And this is the core mandate for which they were appointed. So this is quite unfortunate that the people who were supposed to protect us are the ones that have been seen to be collaborating with foreigners.
All right.
Protecting the interest of refineries in Belgium and Netherlands so that they can continue to sell substandard products. Do you know that the diesel that those refineries in Antwerp, brings to Nigeria is illegal?
Okay.
To use it in the same country where they are refining.
Fine. Okay, fine. Now I'll come back to you, Honorable Derek. Thank you so much for that expose. Now talking about corruption, refining, upstream, downstream, midstream, like what Honorable Gbenga said, of which and Derek, attested to it, that Farouk might just be one of the pawns that they are using to undermine Nigerian productivity in terms of the oil and gas industry. Komolafe also, maybe they have this link. So what robs one affected the other. Trump, they just needed to be let off the hook, so to speak. Now, how can this rot be taken care of? Has it eaten so deep that Nigerians are beginning to use the method of cover-up? Because I'm saying this is cover-up, that Farouk and Komolafe should be called upon to give answers. Why they cover up by telling them to resign?
Wincy, if you look from another angle, I guess it's the first time we're actually seeing a public officer that is resigning due to allegation coming up against him. The rot is not just something that is only within the circle of Farouk and Gbenga. No. This is a country where my leader here said, imagine you giving an oil well to an individual. Let's start from there. If I wake up and I am asked, okay, Festus, you are the owner of this oil well in the ITV premises. You've given me power. And when power comes, you have to protect it. So there are a lot of interests. And these interests are all crashing now. They are crashing because one of the Africa's richest man is taking over the petroleum industry. The man has decided to invest in it. So it's a clash of power, and it's going to continue for a long time. Like I said, next year we're going to see a different fight, because Rabiu is going to come up with his petrochemical industry and begin to refine, and that one will start another fight again. In our community, where we have oil, are we actually enjoying it? No. We are not feeling the presence of that oil, because there is a lot of rot in it. One man holding an oil well, another man giving contracts, but when it's time to protect pipeline, when they want to remove the goods from the soil to another place, then they now call us. That's not how it ought to be. So we are all happy. Many of us are happy. We are happy because we are waiting for the fight to continue. Farouk is phase 1. Those behind it are much. The 3 levels, you see them, the upstream, downstream, and the midstream, there are different gladiators. And let me tell you these things, all of them have political power. The reason why the president is keeping me is because the president has decided to give to Nigerians what is due them. That's why when he came, he said, we can't be importing oil into Nigeria and they will land in Benin Republic. That was the first fight. But if you observe, then we were the one bearing the fight. The pain came back to us, because when subsidy was removed, Nigerians had to start buying fuel above 800 naira. But we are glad that today the price is gradually coming down. And the more they fight, the more we are going to see reduction in the price of PMS and other petrochemical products. So, President has started the fight by giving that levy, that priority to individuals that want to invest in petrochemical industries. So those gladiators now are in problem. But what we want to say of Nigeria is this: let it be an open investigation if there is need. Farouk, an allegation has been leveled against you. I don't know what the EFCC is still waiting for. Because whenever the book is open, others will follow. Farouk should talk. There is need for that man to come up and say, okay, this has been what we'll be doing. This is how I'll be getting the money. On the norm, okay, imagine the other day we're talking about the CAC director receiving less than 600,000 a month, but having estate in Abuja. So at times I tell some persons, our problem as Nigeria is not the president. Individuals giving different parastatals. You've been made a director, go and hold this place. You are supposed to be accountable, not to the president, but to Nigerians. But you see, Nigeria, whenever we are giving positions to hold, that's when we begin to think of, we never first succeed, now we must succeed. We're going to succeed with our money. So the oil sector, there is a lot going on there, a lot. That's why you see Ipman fighting Dangote the other time. That led to what my brother said. Dangote said, no, you can't do this. It leads to another empowerment. He was saying 8,000 empowerment. No. Each tanker drive, lorry, have 2 motorboy at least, with 1 driver. And there are cases for those going to the north, we have 2 drivers. So there is no way we are going to have 4,000 trucks with less than 13,000 people being employed. So the more they fight, the more we, the citizens, are happy.
All right. I'll come back to you. Now, talking about the fight, some are saying that this fight is not a fight against the rot in the oil and gas industry. It's a fight for survivors, fight for selfish end. Now, what's your take on that?
Fight is fight. Fight is fight.
The fight is fight.
You blow person, you slap person, a fight.
Right.
Even when you shout, you might not even just be physical. Which what did they do you? I get it now. It's a fight. So the fight, what is the better thing is the fight should at least end well and put food on our table. Because if it was not the fight of IPMA saying Dangote drivers must become members of their body and they threatened to go on strike. The strike they didn't go for the commoner. The strike they didn't go for the tankers that fell at Auchi to kill people. The fight they didn't go for government to fix road. Dangote must do this. And the man to answer them said, I will. They are my staff. Since I drove them, I'm receiving them back. So we are going to put them in your of business. It took them from that point straight to any other. Yes,
from oil to cement.
I get it now. Go to the spaghetti. Go and start doing any other job. You are still my person. I trust Nigerians. Thank God for the job. They would never ever talk again. Whenever they sit down now, if you are talking about anything or your mandate, we shall start to keep quiet because the food nearly left their table because of amebo. We want to know. So Dangote again punishing the entire system to say you are not even more increase the number of inflow. So the new ones, have you seen Dangote's truck? The new one they are buying. If you see it, you will know that this is comfortability at its best. I have seen some few ones because even the comfortability is something welcoming. So it goes to tell you that if was Dangote, as we speak now, because of this fight and everybody looking at him, we know what to do anything less. You don't be surprised on Xmas Day or New Year Day, Dangote removing 100 naira again from the said 800 or 600 naira is already selling. Just for Nigerians to enjoy because it's his own. So he decides what to gain. He can say because I have gained, I want to do this. He can say because my friend Kowawe is celebrating his birthday in Benin. For Benin resident, buy fuel on Monday for 200 naira. Even at loss, it's nobody's business. It's his own. So that is, it goes to tell you, if more people enter the system, we see just wise. If more people enter, it's Dangote today. If we have about 4, look at what has happened to Smith. Look at what happened to GSM. Look at what happened to Line. There was a time some of us bought to call for 40,000. 40,000. Then Glo came and Glo said, you will still pay that one, but you pay small. Once you buy, they'll give you dash. Once you buy credit, you put in, they subtract. You put in, they subtract, depending on 2, 3, 4 years. Some people also bought in that format. As we speak today, Wilson, if somebody dash you a SIM card, you might not take it because it's of no use to you. There's nothing you want to use it to do.
All right.
So if more people also enter this business tomorrow, we are going to see some people coming to say, okay, if you come and buy fuel in my place, I will give you lunch. If you buy fuel in my place, I will service your car free for you, just to attract you. Because why? He knows that if he does not give you something good, there's another person already waiting the next door. So that is why people like Dangote needs federal government backup more than before. Because this government, since inception, there is no way this government can employ 10,000 people once. It's impossible.
All right. I'll come back to you.
But Dangote is doing it as if he's sharing money to give work. Dangote, just before we can talk about it in 10-20 days, he can buy 50 trucks again. And that's already 50%. What, he's not going to drive it himself. Oh, and my brother was saying 30,000. I don't want to say it as a politician. I get it now. If you give somebody one job, if I give Wisi or Master a job, Wisi has a wife, Wisi has a friend, depending on the friend. For some people, they have side chicks. I get it now. Those side chicks have children. Then some people have where they belong. So as an individual, if you give one, you're already giving minimum 10. Yes. Minimum 10.
All right.
So for 4,000 church people, an outside man does not get married to one person. So it goes to tell you that 4,000 is about 4 times 10, making about 400,000 persons off the streets, looking at Dangote alone. So you see that the prayer for Dangote is not for me and you. There are so many people praying for him to leave them because month end, their children will go to school, is Dangote. They will eat, is Dangote. They will buy clothes, is Dangote. So we need to make sure that the man Dangote is protected. In a sane society, people like Dangote are supposed to be celebrated. But I don't see why people like Farouk, want to make a fool of himself by demeaning Dangote.
I'll come back to it. Let's get to hear from Honorable Egareva. Still on this particular topic, do you feel that the wrath in the oil and gas industry can be eradicated or let's say reduced to the barest minimum?
Well, it's going to be a tough one in the sense that the international conspiracy against Nigeria is monumental. And this is existential for several key sectors in some European and even Asian countries that do not produce crude oil. Nigeria has been a hotbed for them where they get some of these illicit products over the years. And attempting now to sum up the political will to put a stop to this is facing stiff resistance from the international community. So the Nigerian players you see giving pittance, if you look further into maybe a case of Farouk, you probably find out that the payment for the children's fees maybe directly did not come out from his pockets. It was just an incentive maybe offered him to compromise the Nigerian system so they can have their way. Come on, choose a school around the world and we'll foot the bill for you, for your children. And he falls for it. Take your mind back to this allegation against Shell and Eni, and where about $1.1 billion was allegedly, taking the former Nigerian Petroleum Minister Dan Etete, was involved at the time. This case went up to a Milan courts, and the directors from Shell and Eni, they said they had no case to answer. Do you understand that? They said they had no case to answer. But what followed in the aftermath of that will shock you, that some of those prosecutors were not demoted amidst accusation that they withheld evidence from prosecutors. That is what has now led to the appeal, which has not been finalized. You want to go back to the arbitration that went on in the Netherlands that had to do with the former Attorney General of our country and Minister of Justice, Mohamed Adoke. That also involved about $1 billion again. And there are cases of assets freezing in the UK. So you have this gang up against Nigeria because they've been getting cheap source of crude from Nigeria. So all of these times you hear about illegal refineries, crude oil thefts, somebody have to buy. If you steal and you don't have a buyer, then you'll be discouraged from stealing. But there are a lot of willing buyers of this product. But thank God for Dangote. If that refinery did not come upstream and the other one that is being built by BOA, we were never going to come to the end of this. You had a lot of billionaires who bring empty ships to Nigeria and they are just recorded as they haven't brought petroleum products. But thank God that anomaly has stopped. As a matter of fact, I think the Senate should review the penalty for crude oil thefts. They should review the penalty for sabotage. This is national sabotage in the sense that why anyone on earth would preach, even though yes, we have a free market economy, but why you would preach for destroying the Naira? Because how do you destroy the Naira? By making us spend excessive dollars and foreign exchange to bring goods or services that can be produced in Nigeria. That means you are discouraging local production, which is Dangote refinery, and encouraging foreign production, which is importing petroleum products from the diaspora. That is inimical to progress, inimical to development in our country and developing the petroleum sector to bring finished products to the gas stations in Nigeria. So the president, I'm happy that he's nipped this in the bud and he didn't look at typically what people would look, because the other gentleman, Gbenga Komolafe, is from the southwest. The president did not consider that, oh, this man is from my own geopolitical zone. For that reason, let's look for a way to. No, he didn't cover him up. He was roped in with Farouk and off they went. Now it also behoves on our EFCC to swiftly investigate, and we beg our judiciary that when the case comes to them for adjudication, they should dispense with it and give them the most severe punishment so that it will serve as a deterrent to others who are still engaged in this in this crime against Nigeria and Nigerians. It should serve as a deterrent, one, and two, they should also investigate further because they are definitely not alone. They are definitely not alone. Others are complicit. They are still within the system, and they are going to attempt to keep fighting the system. So there should be a thorough cleansing of our petroleum sector, especially with regards to Nigerian NNPC and all the related agencies.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable. Now, to call it a wrap on this thing, we're going to have something else to talk about local government autonomy and the rest of them. What advice would you have for Mr. President? Because I say that Mr. President is the one directly in charge. After all, the Minister of Petroleum is under his care. So how would you be blaming Farouk Komolafe? They're like, you know, a Minister for Petroleum from State, Heineken, Lokbogiri, also that all of them should be held accountable. Now, what do you have to say about this, Derek?
Before I advise the president, let me put it on record that Nigeria is the only country in the world that does not meter its upstream petroleum products. That is when we extract the crude oil from underground. There is no meter on that pump to know the number of liters of petrol that is coming out. Most of the figures that we have today is speculatory.
Estimated.
Only those figures that are declared, legitimately declared, are the ones that we have. So a country who is serious about upscaling its natural resources to the benefit of its people must meter their pumps at the upstream level. Every country in the world who are involved in crude oil production meters their crude oil process or production. Also, countries like China stipulate death sentence, death penalty for corrupt public officials. Because when you are a corrupt public official, the value chain is that it will affect everybody in the country negatively. Because you are stealing from everybody. Whereas somebody that stole GSM somewhere in, I think, those states, not even with a gun, I think with knife, he was charged as a armed robber and slapped with death sentence. The person stole from an individual. Meanwhile, public office holders steal from the entire country, and most of the time, they are just giving a slap on the wrist or giving fine to pay. So a country that is serious about improving the indices of human health indices or life expectancy or economic upliftment of its people must look at these critical areas and ensure that the maximum penalty is given to those who try to sabotage our common patrimony.
All right.
The president must ensure that going forward, the president is a big man. Even before he became governor many years ago, he's a big man. His generation is already secure. He should ensure that the legacy of anti-corruption that Nigeria seriously needs now, which is to ensuring that anybody that steals from the country should be killed. He should sponsor an executive order to the National Assembly.
Death penalty.
Yes, for public officers stealing from the nation.
Okay.
That is the best way to see Nigeria, transforming from this third world nation that we are to a first world nation. Because that is one of the things that countries like China did. Yeah. That within 30 years, China, who was below Nigeria in all the indices of human capital development, health indices and what have you, rose from there to becoming a first world
nation. Thank you. Well, Festus, you heard him. He said death sentence. And what do you have to add? Also, what will you take a look at the way Farouk and Komolafe were treated? Someone said this was a slap on the wrist, that the EFCC should go after them to ask questions, if possible, detain them to get answers. What do you have to say about that?
My leader have said something before. Living Aso Rock at all, to me, was a problem. What was the essence of going there? That you enter the EFCC should escort you out. From there, you begin to face investigation. And coming to the issue of death sentence, I get that's overdue. Because you can actually sentence a man that just stole fowl to 7 years imprisonment, and you say, you that receive it, you know it's a different crime. Receiving stolen property is ×2 of he that stole. And a man that has stolen from all of us. Although the issue of Farouk is something where we cannot just say because the law have not actually proven him guilty. But I am sure if there is a death sentence on stealing public funds, Nigeria is going to be better. Then we will not be asking the judiciary like what Mr. Yaf said. The judiciary should open their eyes more and understand that whenever wherever the country is going, if it's going to the right direction, they will enjoy it. If it's going to the wrong direction, they're going to enjoy it. And also, Mr. President should think about the illegal oil refinery we're having inside those small cliques. There is need for us as a country to look inward and see what we can do with them. They are not helping issues. Destroying them is not helping issues. Because these people have potentials. There is need for us to annex them. There is need for the government to even invest more on it. I guess that's going to help us a lot. Instead of going to the bush, they are refining oil here, you begin to destroy them, you arrest them. If you arrest 100, because there is hunger in the land, another 200 will still go back.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Barai, what's your take? Talking about trying to end this. Remember that the Ministry of Petroleum is under Mr. President. Somebody say, Mr. President, you might not be, less guilty of the crime of Farouk or Komolafe because they are under you. That you are the one taking care of the particular ministry. So, what should be done?
Yeah, thank you so much. What my brother Derek has said, if it was pounded yam, you don't need a better soup. If it was soup, you don't also need a pounded yam. Are you getting it now? Do very drastic, but it's the truth. You must, we'll be preaching about reorientation, but it's like it's taking everybody. My late father spoke about it, my grandfather spoke about it. Now I'm also speaking about it. My child will also come one day to speak about it. So it's like time we just take the bull by the horn, go there and say, this is it. Are you getting it now? Because until we drastically change the narrative, it can't be changed. Are you getting it? We must also just bear the pain. Are you getting it now? To say, okay, this boy that was small that we're supposed to just snip at the bud is grown. So instead of going to spoil the hand, why not just go to the source, spoil it and kill it once? If what has happened to the Nigerian oil sector for donkey years happens to American state as a state, America will not be alive till date. But because God loves us, that is why we are still breathing till this very point. If you see what happens in the creeks of Niger Delta, go to Delta State Warri now and see. There are some group of people buying anything buyable. They don't price. If those people that are giving the crumbs in this oil sector can buy properties worth billions without pricing in the heart of Delta, what about those that has the oil well? Those people can tie virtually all the roads in the local government without sweating. So if these people have been doing this, what is their kickback to where they live, to where these things are? What stops people, the villages with oil well having a standard airport, having an helipad, having a private university, a good university from that individual? To say, okay, Wisdom Marshal, we gave you the oil well that is at Igosa community. And Wisdom Marshal has been on that for, let's say, 5 to 10 years. You've seen that this thing has changed you from a commoner to a known person. When you are coming to the place, you look for soldiers, you look for big cars to pass the bad roads to the place. What stops Wisdom Marshal to say, okay, this place, let it have the best hotels so that my friends who can come stay here and watch our business grow. Let it have the best schools. Let my kids be going here. Let this environment, because we'll see, if you take your time to go to, there's a place in Port Harcourt where these oil workers work, Bonny Camp.
Bonny, yeah.
If you go to Bonny, I'm not sure you believe you still live in Nigeria. Because in Bonny, there's nothing like NEPA failure, there's nothing like bad road. Once the helipad picks you from Port Harcourt and drop you at Bonny, you are already in a place called comfortable.
You're right
Your
about
food,
it.
everything is good.
But one
so
thing,
if Bonny can be like that, if people walked on Bonny, how come Igosa? Why can't we also have a helipad dropping you at Igosa and everything is fine?
Thank you.
So I support the take off. If you take, you die. Wow. Are you getting it now?
All right.
No need to go. EFCC should be scrapped. Just the law is there. Let's go back to the days of Anini and Co. Once the court says you've done this, let's just say, okay, bye-bye.
Interesting.
Your will.
All right, well, Bonny is quite hot. I've been there. Several is quite hot, but the light issue, you are right about the constant power supply. Well, let's get to it from Honorable Ehi Eyariba. Do you subscribe to the death penalty?
Well, as a Christian, I would advocate for maximum punishment, but not an extremist one like death penalty. But I do believe strongly that the baseline should be life imprisonment for corruption and embezzlement, because massive embezzlement, bribery, all this diversion of our oil revenues, is sabotaging our economy, are hindering national development, despite the vast oil wealth that we have. Therefore, there's going to be consequences. If there are no consequences for actions, then those actions will continue unhindered. Considering this, we should have, because at the end of the day, when you are stealing from the Nigerian people, corruption is like killing almost every Nigerian, reducing our life expectancy. Our roads are bad. We don't have enough hospitals. We don't have medical personnel. It's across board, like Honorable Derek Umagu said. You are destroying the very fabric of the society from which you are stealing. Therefore, the consequences before the law must be monumental. That's the only way Nigeria can come out of this system, because there are too many people taking from Nigeria illegally and getting away with it. Someone asked me the other day, I just begged police. I said, well, in the Western climb, what the difference between here and the Western climb is simple. The laws are there. Every human being wants to break the law. People want to drive past that red light if it's possible. The reason they don't is that over there are consequences for actions, because if you are involved in an accident, your insurance is going to go up, points could get deducted from your license could be revoked or suspended. So all of this make people careful when they are on the road. But because there are also no consequences here, such that Nigeria is a place where you can as well kill somebody and you want to pay for the funeral, there are no consequences. So it's the same thing with stealing from the oil sector. So far, no one has been made a scapegoat. There's been no serious government attempt to cleanse that sector, which has further emboldened those who are currently operating to do as their forebears did. Don't forget, the former group managing director of NNPC, Bagindo, how a whole house was stacked with dollars in his hometown, in Katsina. He was never prosecuted because he died. Even though he died, the money still belonged to Nigeria. There's no evidence that money was refunded back to the country. So everybody feels like it's a free for all. Specifically, people from a certain part of this country, northern Nigeria, I don't know the special qualification they have to dominate the critical positions in our oil sector. I don't know the kind of schools they go to where they can come and dominate us in the southern part of Nigeria, specifically the south, where we have the crude, we have everything here. They make sure our refineries don't work, but the pipelines are all working to take away the crude. That is unhindered. They are willing to settle militants. They are willing to give them scholarships just so the crude can flow. But we are not good enough to own oil wells. We are not good enough to be positioned to manage our oil resources. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Ehi. Well, he's saying that a death penalty might just be too extreme, but something must be done about it so that all this can stop. Mr. President is in charge of the Ministry of Petroleum, because that is like, linked to the office of Mr. President, though he can really tell one or two persons to occupy X, Y, Z offices to make sure that things go well. And the onus lies on him to hire and fire. Well, maybe they just say, look, rather than firing, just let them go. They should resign. Well, the rot eating deep into the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. Some of opine that is due to cabals, both internal and external cabals, because everybody wants to gain. If individuals start gaining to the detriment of the country, would there be a country for those individuals to live in? Think about it. Nigeria is our own. Our mainstay is oil and gas. We have to do everything not possible to protect it. Some are saying kudos to Aliko Dangote. He fought a good fight that is benefiting Nigerians, but they are scared that all this man will not come up one day to monopolize the downstream sector. That's a fear of independent market as well. Till then, we keep watching and reporting back to you.